If you're anything like me, then you probably like MMOs. Core parts of games like these are to complete quests, to level up your character, gain new abilities, and upgrade your gear. But what if we took away that last part? How far could you get if you couldn't get new equipment either from a vendor or looting it from your enemies? Today, we'll answer the question, can you leave Tython using only the starting gear? Star Wars The Old Republic has been one of my favourite MMOs for a long time, so it only made sense to me to do this challenge here. It's also not a challenge I've seen done before, and I wanted to try something a little new. But, without further ado, let's meet the intrepid hero who will undertake this challenge. Meet SWTOR, a fresh-faced young Jedi who has yet to be disillusioned with the horrors of the wider galaxy. She's particularly attached to her Padawan's outfit and apprentice practice blade in focus, and as such she will refuse to change out of it for the rest of time. While she heads on out to quell the Flesh Raider invasion, let's go over the rules. Rule 1 is pretty self-explanatory. I can only use the weapons and armour that is given to me at the start of the game, the aforementioned Padawan's outfit, which has a total of 31 armour, and the apprentice practice blade and apprentice focus, which boasts a mighty 22 to 32 damage and 48 force power. Any new gear that drops must be sold, and no gear can be purchased from any vendors or taken from the ungodly amount of mail that I get given at the start of every character. Rule number 2, no stealth. This doesn't actually apply to Star because she's a Jedi Guardian who can't use stealth, but the rule is in place to future-proof this challenge for any other classes I might try. It's also worth noting that I'm doing this on an account with the preferred status and on a brand new server, so I don't get the benefits from my maxed out legacy perks on my main characters. But I'm not going to put that as an official rule. That's all we'll cover for now. There are other rules, but we'll address those when they come up later on. The first portion of the game is understandably quite easy. By design, it's supposed to be completed using only the starting gear and maybe a couple of pieces of gear you pick up along the way, so it was really easy to take down the starting quest of killing some Flesh Raiders. I then hopped over some rocks, saved some Padawans, and made my way to the source of the attack. This man, who clearly needs more sunlight, says something crazy about cleansing. He's clearly insane, so I put him out of his misery and meet someone who probably isn't important to my overall character arc, Master Augustin. I get a pat on the back and am quickly sent off to the Jedi Temple to meet the rest of the Jedi Council and the reason most Old Republic fans will break the Jedi Code. At the temple, August officially takes me on as his Padawan, and then we get sent off to the local Twi'lek village and answer their cries for help. We meet the village matriarch Samari, and the reason I really begin to wish I played as a male knight instead of a female, Rana Talven. Rana and Scout Captain Morint want me to head deep into Flesh Raider territory and raid their stash of weapons, either taking Morint's side and rigging them to blow up, or taking Rana's side and bringing them back to the village for the Twi'leks to use. I, of course, go with Rana's ideas because we are now instantly best friends. If I can't romance her, this is the best I can do. It doesn't take too long for me to get to the cave, so I take out the guard, steal his key, and take the weapons for the village. And also, I meet another probably not important character, the astromech droid T701. He just so happened to record a secret meeting with the Flesh Raiders boss, so seemed a good idea for me to take him with us and see what August has to say about it. And this brings up another important rule that will define the run. Rule 3. No using companions. Prior to Knights of the Fallen Empire, companions were still good but limited to what they could do in their role. But since Fallen Empire, they can take on any role you choose, being a healer, a DPS, or a tank. And they get better the more influence you have with them and the more you use them. So, to prevent me getting out-healed from any damage I take, having them tank the damage for me, or to help me with faster kills, companions must be dismissed at all times. And seeing as T7 won't be joining me on my journey, I ended up replacing him with this, a much more adorable counterpart. It was at this point I also decided on another rule: no quick travel. I wasn't finding the challenge all that difficult so far, so I wanted to give the enemy NPCs more opportunities to try and kill me. Using the taxi service is allowed, but quick travel ability is not. Upon returning to the village, August takes T7 and sees if he can find anything out about the mysterious boss, and he sends me off on my next task, heading up to the ruins of Kaleth to see why the Flesh Raiders are gathering in such high numbers. It was also around this time that I stopped doing any side quests and only focused on the main story missions. I was already level 7, and the maximum level for Tython is 10, and even with the level cap implemented, I didn't want to hit level 10 so soon and start feeling too powerful. At the shrine ruins, I was confronted by a force-wielding Flesh Raider. He laughed at me, which really hurt my feelings, so for this, I destroyed him. I was actually a bit scared, seeing as he called a backup, and I was a little nervous on taking on the 5 guys at once, but... yeah, it really wasn't all that hard. Master Kawix and Kira showed up to help, a little too late if you ask me, but they gave me some trail cams to set up around the ruins to give the Jedi advance warning if there was any more Flesh Raider activity. After meeting up with Master August, he tells us what he knows. The Flesh Raider leader is his former Padawan who was assumed dead when the Sith attacked Coruscant, but somehow Bengal Maw returned. My next task is to break into another Flesh Raider cave and shut down their powered generator. A simple task for someone of my skill and obviously very high level of gear, so it should be a piece of cake. It was on the way here though that I actually noticed something. Somehow, a pair of gloves and braces had been auto-equipped to my character, and I have no idea when or how this even happened. Annoyingly, the gloves that equipped themselves had a higher armor rating than my whole Padawan gear combined. It's annoying, and I really don't want to start the whole journey again, so we'll just call that a whoopsie and then move on. I did notice that the next Flesh Raider I killed dropped a pair of white quality braces that auto-equip themselves, so I guess it's a feature that I ended up not knowing about, and some things will just equip themselves when looted. I'm not sure if there's actually anything I can do to change that, so I just made sure to periodically check that I didn't have anything equipped that I shouldn't. Anyway, I managed to shut down the generator, and Bengal Maw called me up on the phone to patronize me. I don't give him the satisfaction though. No sass here whatsoever.
Guess I missed the news about you winning the war.
I go back to Rana, who tells me her mother has sadly passed away and she is the matriarch now. I offer my condolences before, yet again, heading out to save their asses from certain death. As thanks for all my services, Rana offers to officially induct me into her family as her sister, which I've only known her for about 20 minutes, so obviously I say yes and I'm adopted into the family, to hopefully one day become matriarch myself. Side note here, I've actually only ever played male knights before, so I'm familiar with the romance, but I was actually really surprised to see that there was an equivalent dark side option for female characters. I really like how this event's played out, even though I do like the flirting, which I do literally every time I play a Jedi. Master August phones me and probably wondering why I've been ghosting his calls and tells me to head back to the ruins of Kaleth to tackle another Flesh Raider camp. This was all set up to be another walk in the park when this happened. My first death of the run was due to 2 silver level droids ganging up on me, and this one guy even just walks off afterwards like it was just another day for him, so I had to come up with another rule here on the spot, which will have a small amendment later into the challenge. No using the medical probe. I'll have to do the walk of shame like a man. Knowing to avoid fighting them both at the same time, I instead dispatched one before heading off into the cave. The dying Jedi Master tells me not to go fight them, so I do what any good student does, not listen and head in to fight them myself. I can really feel the difficulty starting to go up at this point. The fight against the lightsaber-wielding Flesh Raider was the first time I had to start using med packs as well. I did end up defeating it though, and August recalls me back to the village because Bengal Maw has been spotted in the area. Rana tells me there's been no distress call though, but she's my new sister and of course she would never lie to me.
Don't worry, as long as we're together, everything will be alright.
Yeah, turns out Morant has sold out August to Bengal and now he says he has to kill me too. I don't particularly agree with this idea though, so instead I attack first and send them to sleep. Rana obviously gains my forgiveness because there's no way she would ever put me in harm's way and clearly it was all Morant's fault. She tells me Bengal has taken August to the Forge, which a helpful droid tells me is a highly dangerous area and I'll be going in without backup. But, because Danger is my middle name, I pick a sweet purple and gold skin for T7, not equip it because I'm not a subscriber, and go to rescue my master. And with that, we're into the final part of the planet. Getting up to the Forge wasn't all that bad at all. I had to use a couple of med packs here and there, but I soon made it to Bengal Maw. After he tried and failed to convince me to join his cause, he took it upon himself to kick my ass many times. Annoyingly, for the first fight it automatically summoned T7 right after the cutscene, and he managed to take out 1.5 of the Flesh Raider allies before I switched him to passive mode, but honestly it felt inconsequential compared to the bulk of the fight against Bengal Maw. This is where I made a slight amendment to the no medical probe rule. Leaving the phase and going back to the med center would respawn all the trash mobs on the way up to the boss, and if I kept dying, I would essentially be grinding XP on the way back, which I wanted to avoid. So when fighting phase bosses, medical probes are allowed. They obviously end up with a really long cooldown if you keep using them many times in a row, so I did end up going back to the med center anyway after he killed me 3 times, because I needed a new strategy, and I very soon discovered the answer to all of life's problems. Drugs. More specifically, the standard issue Fortitude Stim. Up until now, I'd been using the premium Battle Versatile Stim, which would give me a slight increase in mastery and power, and I was kind of hoping I could out-damage Bengal before he took me out, but that strategy wasn't working. So I wasted some money on some minor Fortitude Stims before I realized the standard issue ones gave me so much more endurance. The standard issue Fortitude Stim gave me a bonus 28 endurance on top of the 82 I had naturally, which ended up increasing my health by 21%, which felt absolutely massive compared to how it was before. And as a result, my next fight with Bengal went so much smoother. I ended up using a med pack and still ended the fight with only 11% of my health remaining, but even still, it felt good to finally put him down a peg or two. I knock out Bengal, rescue August, and I'm finally able to build a lightsaber of my very own. And now that I have it, there is one thing left to do with it. The new weapon probably would have helped against the fight against the Forge Guardian, but I got my ass beat one last time before going back to the med center and heading back to the Jedi Temple. It was an optional fight anyway, and I just wanted to get on with the story. I received a promotion to Jedi Knight for all my hard work, and they sent me on my merry way on a shuttle to the Republic fleet, which answers our initial question. Yes, you can leave Tython using only your starting equipment. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. This video idea came to me in a night of insomnia, so I really hope I managed to do the idea justice. Overall, I found the challenge to be quite easy to begin with, but the difficulty definitely spiked in the last third of the planet. I also main a Jedi Guardian, so I was familiar with how the class plays, and I've played through Tython many times, which almost certainly contributed to how I found it. But I've also thought about doing the same challenge on Korriban, Ord Mantell, and Hutter with other less familiar classes, and potentially carrying on to see how far through Coruscant you could get with only the starting gear too. So let me know if any of those ideas appeal to you, but until then, see ya.